It's all recorded, by the way. So I'm going to make sure to share that later on as well with you guys. So just look on the YouTube channel as well. If you're on this call over here right now, please mute yourself. Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself anytime that you want to speak up and talk and ask questions. We're going to have a super powerful, fun session today. This is Win with Sellers, the second session. We're going to cover today chapters 3 and 4. And feel free on the chat over here, just write down, hey, I never got the materials or whatever. I'll share the links in a little bit. But all of you are supposed to to get it ahead of time when you signed up, or I did share as well via emails. So last week we covered, we had some opening and introduction, etc. We spoke about mindset, and then we opened up with Jason Default, spoke about lead conversions, if you remember. Then we went on. Sorry, guys, just make sure to mute yourself. Sorry, let me just mute everybody. Mute all. Yes, thank you. I just click this one button. Unmute yourself if you want to say something, okay? If you're at the panel, you can unmute yourself, but thank you. So Jason Default opened with the lead conversions. That was a great discussion. And then Alan Rosenberg joined in, spoke about the pre-listing as well. And then we also had Ray Rodriguez, mega commercial agent, bring his insight about the pre-listing, etc. Commercial, residential, you talk to people the same way, the same objections, etc. So that was a cool insight. Today, what are we talking about today? Chapter 3, the listing consultation. We're going to have Allison Van Wig. She's a mega agent out of the Calabasas agent. She is the queen, if I may say, of Lakewood and surrounding areas. Allison, just take this title, whatever. And she's been in the business for 30 years, and she has a great successful team and a great business. She'll once again talk about the listing consultation part. So we're gonna open up with that, and then we're gonna go to Julie Newman and Rita Kanberian out of the Calabasas office. Julie has a team. Rita is a solo agent, both been in the business for many years. Just once again, like same thing, all the women today in the group. By the way, women rules the world. That's for sure. I'm finding that out every day. But just classy women, smart, sophisticated, and just treat business, this industry as a business, which I love because there's a lot of appreciation for it, right? So Rita and Julie will lead us into the service and marketing aspects of the listing. So once again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. Maybe not like that, but type them in. And our panelists will love to share and answer the questions. So Allison Van Wig, all yours. Take the stage the next 45 minutes or so.
Okay, so we got a lot of information to cover in 45 minutes. The first thing we're going to do is the listing presentation. Now, lately we have online listing presentation and we have the regular listing presentation. So when I was teaching, one of the things that I really required of the students, their homework, was to do a listing presentation. And what is that? People don't quite understand. And it's a combination of things. It's your best opportunity to show the client what you're going to do for them. So this would be in the way of marketing. What are you going to do for marketing to the client? So Facebook ads, Google ads. Every agent should make their own marketing presentation. And you might form a group in the office, and you can do this by Zoom. Maybe, how many people are on the call right now?
Just about 30 people, but people still want to jump in.
So you could divide yourself into groups of 5 and do Zoom meetings, do the chat, and just put your emails in there, and prepare a listing consultation, and then actually give it to each other on the Zoom meeting. And if you want to do a follow-up to this call, put your email in the chat. I'll take your email. I'll do a Zoom call with you. You'll have some homework to do a listing presentation, and then you can give me the presentation and we can improve on that. Everybody, you know, it's good to have 5 or 6 people. They give a presentation and then everybody gets to hear everybody else's. You get a bunch of ideas to use and it's very powerful. You can go on Google and you can Google listing presentation and get ideas from that. Tom Ferry has one, Ben Kinney has one, but you need to put something together. You know, I showed up at a listing the other day and they said, oh, where do we sign? You're the only one that's prepared. So I brought comparables of the property. And then I brought a full marketing plan on what I was going to do for them. Starting with, you know, when you show up, we walk through the listing. We take down important segments of the listing, like a remodel kitchen, quartz countertops, whatever's in that property that will help you sell it or help you market it. You want to take the notes while you're there. So quartz countertops, that maybe goes in as a feature, and somebody who Googles quartz countertops, or maybe they see the ad on Facebook, maybe you're near parks. I always do list reports and I take that with me. What does that do for me? It tells me what schools are in the area. So that's very important when you go to price a property. If you do your list reports beforehand, I can see, okay, these schools are a 2, across the street they're a 7. Okay, this is Paramount School District over here is Long Beach. So the homes that are across the boulevard are worth about 20 to 30,000 less because they're in Paramount School District. By having that information when you go on the listing appointment, they know you work the area because you know the schools. Very important. The other thing the list reports does for you, tells you what parks are in the area, things like that. It tells you what shopping. So it just helps know the area. And then for the listing presentation, I usually do a cloud CMA and I do a dash CMA. And Meny has arranged for his offices to get the dash CMA for free. And it's a little bit different because it has a different way of pricing. And it gives you the Zillow pricing and the Redfin pricing. So it kind of helps establish market value by looking at other segments and comparing yours to theirs. I pull the comps for the property, everything that is in about, usually I'm pretty tight with those comps, so I'll go about a half-mile radius. And if it has 1 bathroom, I'll put in 1 bathroom. If I need to expand, I'd rather go a little bit larger, maybe 3/4 of a mile versus putting in another bathroom. So all of that information I compile so that I have the 1 CMA to give to the client. And then I have the list reports so we can talk about schools and shopping and things like that in the area. Then I also have Altus reports. Now Meny just got those for the office as well. I've had those for quite a while. I love those because they tell you whether you can kind of see the needle or where you are, like from March to now, where it's a seller's market versus a buyer's market, and that also helps in pricing. So I take all these things with me, and then I also take a marketing package. So I have a book that I leave the clients, not all the time, but if I sense that the client needs more time to decide, then I will leave the book. And the book, I've got it online as well. So if you look at asellersbook.com, then you'll see that my whole listing presentation is kind of in a book for them to use. And I can email that. I've got a pre-listing one, but it's sort of like if you want somebody to wait for you, then put something out there that intrigues them to wait. Anyway, I put it all together with like Google ads, the Facebook ads, Facebook postings. You don't have to spend a lot of money to market a property. You could also spend a lot of time. So it's one or the other, but it's like if you're new in the business, then posting the property to like 20 different Facebook groups doesn't cost you anything, but it takes time. making postcards, mailing them in the area. I just kind of put together a whole plan so that people can see what I'm doing. I'm always on time. I usually get there about 5 minutes early. If I arrive too early, I'll just sit in the car until 5 minutes beforehand. Never, ever arrive late for a listing appointment. That's not good. Then when I sit with it, when I first go in, we walk around the home. I write down all the important things because that helps me with my advertising. And then I ask them specific questions like, what's their timeline? What's their motivation for moving? There's a fine line between being too pushy and being I want to come off as a financial consultant more than I want to come off as I'm just trying to list your home and sell it. So what are your plans? Where are you going? Let's figure out what the home is worth, and then let's do a net sheet. So all of the title companies have great net sheets, and they also have good buying sheets. Like sometimes people think they want to buy, but they're not really understanding the cost of moving. And it's like, if they don't list now, they'll appreciate it and they'll probably list with you next year. But having that information before you list the home, before you hire the photographer and spend any money is valuable, because you don't want to get where you list the home, you get an offer on the home, and then they're talking to the lender and they're like, oh, we can't afford a $1,500 increased payment. That should have done before you listed the home. You should talk about what's permitted and what's not permitted when you go to list the home. If they know something's not permitted, it's probably going to be a problem. Big one here. Find out who the actual owner of the property is. So before I go out on that listing presentation, I'm pulling the tax records from Relist, and I'm calling the title company, and I'm ordering a profile on that property, and I'm asking the title company for the last deed recorded on that home. We just had a situation, hang on one second. We just had a situation where we made an offer on a home and we're in escrow, okay? Buyer puts a $10,000 deposit on the property. Now, this isn't our buyer and it isn't our seller, but it is a scenario that I heard about. So it's very important. I want to be clear on that. I was helping the other agent kind of get through it. But what happened is the property was in a trust, and then someone killed someone, and then there was a modification to the trust, but it wasn't a legal modification. So they took the seller's word that the seller could sell that property and had them sign the listing agreement and then sign the purchase offer and then open escrow. So now we have $10,000 stuck in escrow because he's not a true seller. So we can't have the seller sign to release it. We have an open escrow. He's not the seller because there's a flaw on title. The person that was supposed to be on title killed somebody else. So it's just a long story, but now your $10,000 is stuck in escrow because there's no one signed to release it, and we have to get a court order. So finding out who your seller is, and actually if it is a trust, then you're going to need a copy of that trust and find out who the successor trustee is, or who's the executor, who has the power to sell that property. So that's a real biggie, and knowing the difference between a trust and a probate. There has been so many cases where sellers have hired me just because I knew the difference between a trust, a probate, and a regular sale. When I went out there, all of my documentation for the listing agreement was a trust listing agreement. So when I go out and I say, you know, your property's in a trust, I will need a copy of the trust because we have to prove to the title company you're the legal seller of the property. And you'll notice that all of my documents are for a trust. Now, if you're interviewing other agents, they should be telling you this. If they're not telling you that, they probably don't know how to handle a trust. Bingo. 50% of the agents, 50% of my competition is now gone. So you really want to be, one of the things is prepare yourself, know the area, drive by beforehand, know who your seller is. If it's a trust, make sure you have the right listing paperwork with you. Ask for a copy of that trust. Ask for a copy of the death certificate. Know you're going to need these things in advance. If the person died and the property is not in a trust, then you have a probate situation. So you should also know a little bit about probate, but start with trust first, one thing at a time, and really get to know that, because you can probably do that in a day or two, and then you can do a probate class later. Did someone have any questions? I heard someone speak up.
I just wanted to confirm one thing really quickly. So you said if someone dies, then it makes it a probate if what again?
If it's not in a trust. So if the owner of your home dies, say Mr. and Mrs. Smith owned the home. Mr. Smith died 5 years ago. So now it's in the name of Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith just died without a trust. That's a probate.
Okay, and then wouldn't it automatically go to whoever is like their heir, like their kid or their grandkid? Or how would that work?
No, it does not. It's a probate. So it's up to the courts to decide who that goes to. Maybe that person had a will and said their child doesn't get anything. Maybe it goes to all the cousins. It's up to the courts to decide then. That is the power of having a trust and being prepared. If you have a trust, the person in charge of that trust has no problem selling the home. When you don't have a trust, guess what? You got a probate situation, you're going to court, maybe you're going to sell an hour later.
And then there was a third one.
A year later.
There was a third one because you said trust, probate, and then what else?
A regular sale. Like if
okay.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith haven't died and they're just selling the home regularly.
Okay.
So that's part of preparing.
Thank you so much for sharing.
That's part of preparing yourself for the presentation. And then in your package, you'll see there's a bunch of paperwork like prioritizing their needs. And that's basically, you want to lift people that are motivated. You don't want to spend $500 on photography and all your time and everything else if they're not motivated to sell. So if you say $650 to them and the comps are $650 and they want $750, you have a problem. You have to either go back and prove your value and why you're telling them that what it's worth and look at those comps again. Or maybe you need to step back and let somebody else take that listing, because I don't want to lose money marketing that listing. Or maybe you take a 2-year listing until it grows into its price. I don't know, but I don't want to waste my time on energy on people that are not motivated. So when we get over there as part of the listing presentation, we have a kind of, what are they looking for? How are they on the price that I give to them? Do a net sheet for them, and then we have a discussion of moving and everything else, whether it's going to be a contingent sale. And I put that in my notes for the file. Like right now I have one that's a 1031 exchange. So that goes right on the file in the front. So I cannot forget that, hey, we have a 1031 exchange on this. And they're motivated because it's a rental property, they want rid of it. That's a good one. Divorces, they're motivated. They want to move that house. Somebody that doesn't know where they're moving to and wants to test the market, that's not so motivated. So yeah, kind of go through that. I'm trying to get the chat window open here. Hold on one second. Oops.
I think you're good. There are no questions, so I'll address them if there's any questions for you.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so how did you hear, some of your questions is, how did you hear about me? I always like to know how people hear about me, whether it be a referral, whether it be from an internet search, or I saw you on Facebook. That feedback, the more people say they've seen me or heard about me from a particular area, tells me, okay, I need to advertise more money in that area because it's obviously working. Where are you moving to? That's a motivation question. Why are they moving there? How soon do you want to be there? And then people always say, well, how good is the market right now? Well, right now we have limited inventory and things are selling pretty fast. But setting expectations, like if I know a house is going to sell in a week, I will probably tell them that they'll have an offer within 3 weeks, because you cannot always control market fluctuations. And I don't want to hear, you told me it would sell in a week. So I usually try to do the 3 to 4 week. If we don't sell within 30 days, then we need to consider a price adjustment. And you will know when we need that price adjustment, because one thing about dealing with people is if you're consistently providing feedback to them, you're going to have a lot easier time getting a price adjustment. So you're going to be sending them how many views they've had on Zillow, how many views they had on Redfin, all of the places that you posted on or advertised it for them. It's like when they see that their home has been advertised, maybe you sent an email out to 1,000 people, maybe you sent a Facebook video, whatever you're doing to market that home, don't keep it a secret. Let those sellers know. The more you let them know you're marketing the home, the easier it is for you to get a price reduction, because they know that, hey, so many people have seen this house. It's not about the marketing. It's not about the people seeing it. There's only one thing left. It's about price. So it's like, if you're too high priced, it's so much easier if you keep in regular communication with them. So what would happen if your home did not sell? Honestly, I never ask that question. Okay, there's some things I don't ask because I think that, and it depends on the seller's personality, but when I say to you, what would happen if your home did not sell? If you said that to me, in the back of my mind, I'd be like, because I think my home has is my home not going to sell? Just don't go there. You're going to sell that home. You're going to do a good job for them. And that's another thing, when you go into the listing presentation, you want to be dressed nicely, positively, and it's like, we will have an offer on this home within 3 or 4 weeks. You'll have a 30 to 45-day escrow, and then you will be moving to your new home. No ifs, ands, maybes. We all know the maybes can happen. But the thing is, you want to present to your clients in a good, solid, positive manner.
You want them to know this is the
agent for you, because she is positive and she's a go-getter. So there's no negativity when you go in there. The home's going to sell. One of the mistakes that you can make sometimes is being overly critical of the house. Okay, and I've done this one before too. Maybe it's best not to be overly critical of the house, but be positive, get the listing, and once the paperwork's signed, try to fix those things that are wrong with the house. So you could have a very cluttered house. We need to clear some of this clutter out. Maybe send them some boxes, send someone to help them pack for the day, send a house cleaner if the oven's dirty, who knows? But as a top agent, it's your job to deal with things. So I know in the back of your mind, you think, well, this is their house. Why should I spend money cleaning it? Because you want to sell it and you want to make a commission. So move on. Do what you need to do to get that house sold. You know, the other day, I was at my Gaviota listing, and it's like for 4 days, 6 gardeners. I couldn't get a hold of anyone. So 6:30 Monday morning, I'm out there mowing that lawn. And it's like, the photographer is coming. I just need it done. No whining, just do it. So it's like, move on, take care of the things after. But I didn't go on that listing presentation and say, oh, you know what, it's a divorce case, so there's enough stress. I didn't say, hey, the house needs cleaning, you need your lawn mowed, these trees need trimming. It's like, I made a list of what I needed to do, and I moved forward. And it's like, the other day she says, oh, well, you can take that out of the back end of escrow. We don't want you to pay for the tree trimming. But it was really nice of you. It looks great. The thing is, it's like, there's less stress for her in a stressful situation. And it's the same thing with a death sometimes. You just need to take control and help them a little bit and push them forward. You took the pre-listing class already, and then this is a listing one. So besides your advertising and knowing the area, I would pull everything that has sold on that street. I don't care if it's a comp or not, because sure enough, you're going to be sitting there during your listing presentation, and they're going to say, hey, the one down the street sold for $650. Can we get $650? And if you pull out your sales from that year, I usually go back 14 months because 14 months to them seems like 8 months. You can see that one, and it's like, well, that one was 2,000 square feet. You were 1,000 square feet. Oh, I didn't realize it was so big. End of story. But if you don't know what's sold on the street, then it's like, it's an awkward conversation. The other awkward conversations we have is, well, Zillow says my home is worth this. Always check the Zillow before you go out there, because 90% of your clients are going to check Zillow. You want to have that ammunition with you when you go so that it's an easy conversation. Zillow says the house is worth 900. The house is only worth 800. And why? Well, Zillow is picking up these comps on the other side of the street, which is a custom built tract. So now we know this is a conversation we're going to have. And you might even bring that up, because one of the things I do bring up when I go on a listing consultation is that I'm not there to buy the listing. And, I just had one where I went and I told them that the house was worth $585. And there was 3 of them. And she says to her husband, oh, well, the other agent said it was worth much more. And I'm like, well, let's look at the comps that the other agent used. Well, they just said it. They didn't bring any comps. I said, okay. And here we have comps that are half a mile around us, identical matches to your house, 2 of them. And those are at $560, $570. So one thing that agent may be doing is getting you to sign and what they call buying the listing. So it's like, I could tell you right now, if this is what you want to hear, let's get $650 for your house. Sign here, I'll take care of everything. The only problem with that, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is now you're counting on $70,000 more, and it's not there. So then the house sits on the market. We have 2 scenarios here. We have Agent Allison over here, and we have bad agent here. Agent Allison listed the home at $580 and ends up getting $600 in a hot market where there's not enough inventory. Bad agent over here, we'll call him Agent B, lists the home at $650. It sits there for 2 months. He doesn't spend any money on advertising it because he knows it's not going to sell. He asks you 3 times in 2 months for a price reduction. Finally, you give him a price reduction because you realize you signed a contract for a year. Agent B takes it down to $630. It still sits there because it's still $50,000 overpriced. Agent A, Allison, has already closed escrow and you have your money in the bank earning interest in mutual funds. Agent B now is on 4 months. Guess what? Month 5, we finally get the price to $580. But now it's been on the market 150 days, and everybody says, oh, that house has been there forever. It's not even worth $580. Let's offer $560. $40,000 difference. Agent A sold it for $600. Agent B, who lied about the property to his clients, the price, gets $560, a $40,000 loss for these sellers. And in their head, they thought they were going to make $50,000 more. So upsetting And is that really advising you the best way for your financial success? It's like, this isn't a car that you're selling. This is a house.
We want to make sure that you do it
Right? And the agent isn't buying you. There has to be some substantial evidence for pricing a home. Even if we were able to sell it at $650, we also have to prove to the appraiser. That's another thing I do during my listing consultations is I always tell them, let me help the appraiser, let me help prove my value. So agent B over here has no comps to give the appraiser because there are none. Agent A comes loaded with comps and a list of features. It easily appraises for $600. Agent B, it falls out and it's still on the market. It's never going to appraise because there's nothing that's sold. In the meantime, you get to keep making your house payment. It's very, very powerful to price a home right, get 1 or 2 offers, get a little competition going, and move forward. So know the Zillow estimate, know the Redfin estimate, pull 14 months of home sales on that street. You know your area. Pull your list reports, know your schools, your shopping, your parks, and then pull your regular comps and have interior pictures so that they can compare this kitchen to that kitchen, etc. Homes do not sell. This isn't commercial property, so it's not a clear-cut square footage thing. Homes sell based on square footage, floor plan. Okay, if you have 1,200 square feet over here, that's a solid, good 3-in-1, and you have 1,200 square feet over here, and one is a walk-through bedroom, they're not worth the same amount. Yet I see mistakes all the time where they've done it just by square footage instead of by floor plan. Ambience of a home, emotional appeal. And I tell this to the sellers as well. So you are writing a list of all of the features of the home, because when you do that MLS description, you are not doing a description about square footage and bedrooms and baths. 80% of the agents out there do that. You are doing your MLS description based on emotional appeal, value to the consumer, how close it is to parks, schools in the area, amenities like a place for a home office, a gym, a kitchen island. All of that is important. So write down those features. You know, when I go on the listing appointment, I always show them professional photography. I give them
a real good feel.
How I'm going to market their home. Okay, we have about 10 minutes for questions, or I can keep going.
There's a question, I'm not sure how, if you already addressed that. How or who determines if the trust document or amendments were done correctly?
Well, you run it by the title company. If you have any, like recently I had a property where they had 6 amendments. And the amendment to the first amendment wasn't legal anymore. So here's the second. Before I listed the property, and this was in the discovery phase, I gave all of the trust documents because I told the seller, we're going to have a problem with this because we've got 6 amendments. Let's roll it by the trust company so we know exactly what the title company, so we know exactly what they want before we move forward. Okay? No money spent on the listing yet. Seller's like, wow, nobody else said this to me. This is kind of important because I don't want to put myself in a place where I'm signing a contract and legally I could be stuck in a contract for a year. It's like, this is, you know, this is legal paperwork, so you want to make sure it's right. So run it by the title company and make sure that those trust documents, you have the proper seller if you're in doubt.
I don't think there were any other questions. So feel free to chat about more, I mean, you're bringing 30 years of experience into 45 minutes. So thank you.
It's kind of, and it is kind of difficult to do this. Who's interested in a listing presentation? Please go ahead and put it in the chat window, and then Meny will send me those emails. And we're going to do a Zoom meeting where we can kind of get you started on your listing presentation and moving you forward so you have something to take. I know that I feel that it's the biggest thing to selling is trying to be prepared so you feel more confident. And right now I know we're not knocking on doors, so it's perfect to go ahead but maybe you're not making phone calls because you're like, well, geez, if I did get a listing appointment, I wouldn't even know what to do. Let's get that listing presentation together, kind of figure out what kind of advertising you want to do. And you can go ahead and Google advertising my property. There's different Facebook groups you can join to learn what other agents do. And really you want about 4 or 5 good things. You always want to have something that somebody else doesn't have. So it's a constant struggle to stay ahead of all of the agents around you, like your competition, because if the competition has something that I don't have, then then they're going to win the listing. So if I don't get a listing, I always call them and ask them for feedback and say, hey, what could I have done differently to have secured your business? Most of the time now, I will get the listing because I am so prepared when I go out there. But I feel that it's like, first it was Altus Reports, right? That was a great new product to have, and that came out quite a while ago. And we were like the only one having it for like 8 months.
That we have. And
Now the competition has started to get that, because it's like whoever is in your area that is your main competition, you should be Googling their name and kind of feeling, okay, what are they doing? Where are they getting their business from? And how are they advertising themselves? You want to know everything that they're doing so that you can do that and maybe do it better. So someone asked, how do you work around a seller who wants you to lower the commission? It's like when I present my list of items in front of them, like we are going to do this, 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 and this, and they talk about lowering the commission, there's a couple things I'll ask them. I'll say, okay, tell me what the other agent is going to do. Well, they said they were going to do the same thing. I said, really? Let's have you Googled their name to see if they really do it. Because sellers will Google your name to see if you have a Google presence. So if you don't have a Google presence, start making yourself one now, because that's important. But I start saying, well, we could go down in commission. Like I noticed this other agent you interviewed does the cell phone pictures. So you don't want the professional photographer that really shows your house to the best ability, because we want the best presentation for your house to get the most agents in. So he's not going to do that, because we can see from his other listings, he didn't do that. So if you hire him, you won't be having professional pictures. So I guess I could go 0.5% lower if you want and not have the professional photographer, but I would feel very uncomfortable. You know, I really can't do that because I feel uncomfortable. I don't want anybody to see my listings looking crappy like that. I like to get the most value for my sellers, and it's like, it's really important. What else could you give out? Do you want to skip the Google ads and maybe not get as many people in here? They don't want to give up anything. And so, I mean, you kind of just, people are going to look at you kind of sly, or they might pretend like they're getting a little angry, but it's like, I get it. It's a lot of money, but I want you to make a lot of money too. And it's like, you could hire agent B, but agent A has a better product, and agent A is going to get you more money. So giving up $2,000 is really going to cost you $10,000 or $20,000. It doesn't make sense. Usually, we won't talk about commission after that.
I have a question. How do you make a Google presence as a new agent that hasn't sold anything?
So you've got to start, like maybe you're going to do a Facebook page for your business. And then you're going to start, like, maybe you have an agent in the office, like certain agents will ask me, hey, do you mind if I advertise your property on my page? And I'll be like, no, you can go ahead and do that. As long as I know you, you know, I'm very careful who I give permission to because I don't want wrong pricing or anything. But I think, you know, if you are careful with what you do and they know and you share it with them, they're going to be okay with it. And you could do a Pinterest page. You should set your business up on Google. Like if you Google my name, you'll see I have a Google business page. You can start posting on Google. And it goes on and on. LinkedIn, your LinkedIn profile should be totally filled out. Your Twitter profile should be totally filled out. And then it's all about presentation and stuff. Like I have the biggest Facebook page in Lakewood, and I have 10,600 people on that. So gradually, you're just going to I do a lot of niche marketing. I don't sell Southern California. I sell Lakewood and Long Beach. But that's because I can spend less money and have a bigger impact on a smaller area. So as a new agent, you have to decide, what do I want to do? Do I want to just be like all over the place, or do I want to work one area? They're good and bad. It just depends on who you are and what you want to do. Some people like going to different areas and don't mind. I don't want to do that. I want to be home-based, and this is my town, this is my area. Next question.
Thank you. Thank you for explaining. So if you were to have like business accounts like Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, you know, all this, you would
Pinterest.
recommend to put it in your name, right? Not to have like a different name for it, like to have like your name.
You want to start off and you want to do, like, technically the Department of Real Estate wants, like if it's a team or a group and you plan on being a team or group, you're not actually allowed to use something that isn't your name. I know we see agents do it all the time, but like my name's Allison Van Wig, my group is Van Wig and Associates. That is okay because it's my last name. If I picked Lakewood Home Company, that wouldn't be legal to the DRE technically because it's like, you don't want to go too broad. So it's the same with websites. Like I have superbroker.com. I also have like 90712 prices. I have quite a few websites because I've had them for years, but my main website, superbroker.com, is the one that I advertise everywhere because the more hits you get on your website, the more traffic you get there, the more Google's going to recognize you. So decide, the most important thing you can decide is what you're going to, you know, if you're using your name, then the team should be something with your name in it so you still have that Google presence. Don't totally change things around and do Linda Smith and the BBB group, because now you advertised Linda Smith for 3 years, you decided to be the BBB group and they have no web presence. You're starting all over again. Don't start all over. Whatever you stick with it, because by year 3, 4, 5, what about blogging? That could go in your listing presentation as well. Do you blog about your homes? That's a lost art, but yet it works. It picks up those Google people. So it's like you post it on Pinterest, you post it on Google, you post it on Instagram, you post it on Facebook, you blog about it. So there's 5 links right there. How much traffic do you think that's drawing to you? And then think about this. You got 10 listings last year. If you did that for all 10 of your listings, think about the traffic coming in from that.
Good questions. We're about to jump to the next session, or the next part. Allison, once again, I want to thank you and I want to apologize. I want to thank you for, always sharing that experience of yours. You don't hold back. You're super, super busy. And I want to apologize for giving you only 45 minutes to share 30 years of experience. So I hope
That's
that you guys,
okay. Send me those emails. And then on a one-on-one, we'll kind of work on a listing presentation, do a Zoom conference, and have a little fun on the side.
I love it. Allison Van Wig, thank you so much. That was a listing consultation part. Can't thank you enough. Thanks again, twice a day.
All right.
I have one question. One more,
Then,
sorry.
so
That's
let's, if you don't mind, just to type your question. I want to jump to the next session because we have two people that are waiting to share their time with you. So type in a question. I'm gonna share with Allison afterwards. Maybe she can type in really quickly, whatever, if it's not too time consuming. Let's jump to this next session, chapter 4, service and marketing. We have Julie Newman and Rita Kanberian. Rita with us, and we're gonna chat about how do you go about, right, the consulting about, hey seller, your house is great, but look at this, is it not as clean over here, and maybe you need to stage over there, and whatever. So I want to talk about that piece, and the second part is the marketing piece, right? Julie, Rita, how do you go about, okay, we spoke about, making your house sexier, and now that's the second delivery is like, this is how we're gonna do it. So share with us, feel free to talk and share and jump and whatever. Julie, Rita?
Hi, Rita, how are you?
Hi, Julie. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Meny.
Hey, Julie.
I miss everybody. When are we gonna have a happy hour?
That's the next call.
I'll tell you, I just went on a listing appointment 2 weeks ago with a agent who had a listing for 6 months and never did any marketing other than the MLS. So they terminated that contract and hired me because of the marketing. Social media, I think our networking platform with all of our offices and that KW Forward Living, and all of the professional photography that I absolutely insist on. Matterport, I think, is only really amazing if it's a high quality property. Staging, I always encourage, but some of them are reluctant to go there with it. I really try to push for that because I think it's important. I think the sellers don't really realize the impact that staging does have, even if it's modified. If you have a relationship with a stager and you give them all your business exclusively, sometimes it might help to have them do a consultation walkthrough, regardless if they get the job or not, and they get all of your business for staging. That's helpful. Social media clips, any kind of social media, every platform. I think it's a hot and heavy place that you have to be. If you're not there, you're not servicing your client. I think our KW Command landing page website thing that we have available to us has been phenomenal. If you're not using it, you're not being smart. I don't know, Rita, what else do you do?
So going back to what you're saying, 100% I agree. And I also, for me, first impressions are huge. So I always tell my clients to make sure that you've got the first 2 weeks your house is going to be on the market is just the most important time for your home. So I like to be honest and upfront, and my clients usually appreciate that. I also, do a little bit more than just what an agent does. And I actually will go through there just like a stager would or an organizer, a professional organizational company. And I'll tell them, okay, time to declutter, time to remove this. And I usually give my client a few scenarios for pricing, and I'll let them know, okay, you can do this, paint this wall, and let's declutter, and let me do some staging, and we'll get this price for your home. Or we'll sell it the way it is, and we'll get this price for your home. So I feel like they like options, so I like to give them options. But most important is making sure they know that their home deserves the best impression the first few weeks, and we've got to come in strong and look good for everybody compared to the competition.
And that's the other thing. I mean, the newer agents, the impact that professional photography has, where you could rotate, they give you 30 or 40 photos, you could rotate them in different places, different photos. And when you do start, you have to do everything all at the same time. A campaign is a campaign. It's everything, not a little bit of this and then buy this and then a little bit more of that. It's everything. And believe me, that advertisement that you use in spending the money up front for the one listing can be rotated for years and years and years through all kinds of marketing,
100%.
not just your current stuff.
So let me ask you, and thank you for sharing, kind of throwing things out there, but take one step backwards for a second. And you go into a listing consultation and you see the house and you have a sense of what's selling, because the first part of the session was with Allison. She's like, hey, study, right? Know the comps, know what's going on, what's sold. Like, you're a professional, right? Know what's going on. So you can like walking into Julie, and I saw some of your videos, like you're really good at social media. You put things over there, Instagram stories, whatever, and you're like, you actually there, like, hey, I'm walking this is the house, look how dirty and messy this kitchen is, right? Whatever. So how do you go about telling them what they should and how they should do it and not to insult the person?
I'm very playful with my clients. I just tell them, how honest do you want me to be? Like, do you want to stage it? Or do you want to just sell it? How quick do you want to sell it? Do you want to get the most for it? How much work and time do you want to put into this? And they'll tell you. And you gotta be empathetic, and you have to have a good EQ on them and kind of read between the lines. I mean, if they're super, super neat and clean, you might want to ask about adding color. If they love everything, you might want to ask about decluttering. And, every once in a while, I will send boxes as a hint. We need to clear the countertops. You have to be playful and connect with your people and build a rapport. I don't know, being a mom might be just a comfort zone where I could just tell people what I think they should do. But everybody's different, but yet everybody is the same. Everybody likes the same things, and you can always engage them with, you like model homes. Yeah, what do you think you like about them? Everything's neat and tidy. Okay, well, we want your house to be neat and tidy. We're going to try and pretend like we're a model home. You just have to play with them and communicate.
I agree. Mirroring the client and seeing what their objective is when you meet with them, you kind of can feel them out. Usually when you're walking through the home, they'll start asking me all the questions because they've seen my reputation and they know the kind of homes that I put on the market and the photos and video and the quality. So they like to always pick my brain and ask, okay, so what do you think? Do I need to change something in this room? Do I need to paint? Do I need to, redo this in front of my home? And usually for me, curb appeal is important. So making sure the front of the home is ready to go. Going back to what Allison said earlier, I do things on my own. I don't put extra stress to my clients. Sometimes I just take the initiative and I bring the broom and I bring my pots and I bring the succulents and I make sure everything is great, of course, with their permission. And they're usually very grateful that I go above and beyond to actually let them know that I'm taking this like it's my own home. I'm representing your home like it's my own home. So I think that helps.
So did you ever use, any of you, either in consultation or actual, practically the concierge, our KW concierge?
We refer concierge all the time. And I think it's such a wonderful resource that we have. And the fact that they don't have to pay for it up front is amazing. So I'm always making sure my clients are aware that they can take advantage of that.
Same thing.
Same
I
thing.
always encourage it. I always push it. I always let them know that it's available. I I have a sign out in front of a couple of my listings, whether they did the work or not. I always try to encourage our concierge service.
How do you like on a different angle, right? Talking about marketing and marketing yourself as well, not just the property, but how do you take advantage of leveraging that concierge, or how do you pitch it in a sense that people, right, the consumer, if you're in a listing appointment, or just to, you know, fish or attract sellers that, hey, I have this kind of service. How do you go about that?
Well, it's in the listing presentation. We have it in our CMA. So I put it in there. I go over it with them. I show them pictures before and after. I give them the option. I explain that it doesn't get paid for until at the close of escrow, and that it's, you know, it's highly encouraged to use it so they could be deferred. It also helps cement the client in the fact that if we do this, you have to sell. We're not going to do this and then change our mind or go backwards. So, and I've also been trying to encourage my sellers. I mean, it's a really tough time. You know, the coronavirus is still affecting some of my listings. And I had one lady that backed out, and I told her, if you're going to back out, you're going to have to pay me for all my advertisement. So I'm starting to put that in my listing contracts. If for whatever reason there's a furlough or an employment issue, and there's a reason to cancel, I'm making them pay for all the advertisement. So I try to encourage all the costs to be deferred if they want to go that route, and give them the options and the resources to have these things available to them.
Yeah, and if you kind of like, you know, iffy out there, or you never really did a listing agreement, or maybe it was quite some time, they're always changing and modifying the contracts, and this edition is newer. There's actual room for this, I think, since maybe last year, maybe a year and a half ago. So instead of just writing it down, right, there's a whole section to that. So shout out Julie, just good job on that, because yeah, you have the right to defer that cost, and because remember, like, you don't have to pay for it, right? Just how you negotiate that into the contract. So that takes us to the next piece, right? Julie, Rita, about marketing. Tell us about, you know, your strategies. Like, what do you normally do, and how do you decide why, you know, what to do, like only pictures or pictures in drone or whatever, and what affect that kind of decision? Is this price point, type of property, etc.?
I like to give as much as possible. Of course, when we're talking about a property over 750,000, I will go above and beyond, do the drone, you know, do the video, do the top of the line photos and marketing. Maybe a condo, obviously, I'll still do the high-end photography and video. We want to get as many people in the home. So to me, it just makes sense to spend the extra dollars on the marketing and making sure that you have the best of the best taking those photos and representing the home the way it should be shown.
Yeah, and I have to tell you that our title companies, you know, I use 2 different ones, just so you know. They're a great platform of help when it comes to marketing. So, you know, you could do these little campaigns that they put together. So you're not just doing photos and drone and videos. You could do video clips. We do letters saying that we have buyers in the area. You can do letters at the close of escrow. I still do postcards. There's a lot of people in a lot of neighborhoods that still do mail. So I try to do a just listed postcard. I try to do a just sold postcard with every listing that I do, with every closing I do. I do a lot of email blasting. I use Constant Contact. I know that through Command they have MailChimp. I do Facebook ads through Command, which have been a lot of fun to monitor daily. And I do circle marketing as much as I can. I'm not real great at it, but I still try to force myself to call at least 250 around every listing that I have, just to invite them to come see it and tell them about it. I do slide dial sometimes, broadcast, where you can verbally leave a message in a surrounding area. I haven't tried texting. I mean, I will physically text a few, but they have services that will text the surrounding areas. I haven't done that in bulk yet.
Sending letters is great. I also do that. I used to send, 500 letters to the neighborhood to invite them to the open house. We don't have open houses anymore. So
Right.
that's a little different, but now we're just going to send letters and let them know that we have this house for sale. And then when you sell it, that, we still have buyers that we're working with. So that's a great tool to use to get new clients when you're listing.
A couple of questions over here is, Julie, do you remember exactly, well, the question is, how do you write that into the contract? So I think once again, it's the second page. I don't remember like which paragraph is that in the contract. And how do you address the about cancellation and paying for marketing? Did you have to add something else, or just like in the contract? I think it's just on the contract, right? It's one of the
You know what? I feel like when you're with somebody and you're talking with them, I want to write it so they see it. I make them initial it, so it's not there's no discrepancy, there's no confusion, there's no I don't remember. So I try to put it in there. I watch them watch me write it, and I make them initial it where I can. I mean, it's becoming, I don't know, people are getting forgetful more and more these days. So, and after one thing I think is really a big thing that even my coaches got me implementing is after you have a listing appointment, to go back and do a follow-up letter just to kind of recap. And what I've been doing also in recapping an email to them is clarifying the price range that I suggested in connection with what they suggested, just so that we don't have to have this conversation in 2 weeks if they want to try for more and I've got to go back and say we've got to adjust the price. So it's just a typical seller. They always want to list it for more, I think, than what your range is. So if we do list it for a different amount than the range I give them, I make sure I recap in an email, just to keep everybody honest.
Another question is, which vendor do you recommend for digital photography, virtual tours, video packages, etc.?
Forward marketing is great. Obviously we have our own in-house. Also, I use Home Sweet Home Productions.
I've been rotating. I'm trying to find a set person. I have probably 4 different services that I use for different things. Some are more artistic, some are more intentional. It varies. It depends on the product.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, feel free if you're not sure. Let me see if I can share that file of our forward media team. They also have better cost, more affordable cost because we sponsor some of it as us as a Forward Living offices. What would you say, Julie, Rita? Oh, sorry. Here's one more question. Sorry, I had to ask because I saw some agents that are doing this, and I don't know if you guys are doing it too. But some agents that they pitch the concierge, but they don't end up maybe using it. They still using the yard sign that we provide to promote that because it's like a listing magnet. Do you use it or not?
I do where I can.
Rita, did you ever use that?
No, I should. I think I should for sure.
Right. Okay.
Definitely, I like that idea.
Rita, I find that sometimes it kind of stakes claim to the property, because like even like if you have an expired that you have under contract, they're getting a million phone calls. Everybody's knocking on their door, driving them crazy. So anything you can do to tag it with yourself, your name, your company is helpful. I have an investor who's flipping a property, and of course, you know, there's been a handful of agents that just pop by, start talking to my client.
Of course.
So if they see a sign out there, typically they'll just stay away. They won't solicit.
That's a great idea. So I guess we should all get those signs, get our hands on it and use it for our listings.
Yeah. Well, I need more, Meny.
And I need
Okay, I get you more. We did print quite a bit, and we gave those out, and you can always, for a very small cost, we can also modify them to your branding, etc. We can custom design them for you guys. It's very inexpensive.
I also have told you a million times we have the inspection report for Balboa.
Another question is what yard signs? Yeah, I'll show an example in a second. Another question is, so when it comes to actual, you did mention, both of you, you send like mailers, etc., what have you. How do you, if you do, distinguish yourself on the message or the branding, on the look, that it will show a bit different than, or say something different, if you have like a punchline, if you want to share, or if you have anything whatsoever, than others? Because we all get all those postcards and what have you.
I agree. I think that those postcards are a little bit generic and maybe not as valuable as a letter. I find the personalized letters that, again, through Title, they have the resources to help us. And basically the personalized letters, you're able to really pinpoint the seller or the house that you're sending it to, and saying, my buyer is looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, just like your home. And it'll actually tell you the square footage of the home. And it's a little bit more personalized. But something else to add more value to yourself is maybe to say something like, hey, I'm selling my homes, 6% over asking, or, everything's going in multiple offers, whatever I'm putting on the market due to my marketing, and I can do the same for your home, so just setting yourself apart and just reiterating that in the letter. And of course, branding your information, being consistent, and having it everywhere.
That's great. Julie, are you doing home inspection? Can you hear us?
I have a photo shoot. I always just build rapport with my people. I just tell them they get me. They get me. There's a lot that comes with this.
So share more of that. How do you distinguish yourself from the competition?
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
Julie, hold on because you're breaking up.
You've got a huge platform. And it's not just, my platform isn't just about real estate. It's about all the relationships I have through the years of just being here, my kids.
Julie, we were kind of losing you because you're driving too fast for us. So Julie, can you hear us?
Or even like I'm not driving.
Okay, we can't hear you. We can't hear you fine. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now don't move. Julie, can you hear us now? Yeah, Julie, we can hear you now. I think so.
I don't know. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, go for it.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I just, everybody's unique in their own way. I mean, what I have to offer is I'm a mom, and I have 3 kids, and I'm involved in the community. I'm involved in politics. I'm involved in sports. I'm involved in all the things we do in the office. I mean, I'm just, a walking party. Wherever I go, everybody's welcome. everybody to feel included, and I want everybody to feel like we're accomplishing something. I mean, it really does come down to coming from a place of contribution, and we're all here to help each other. Life is tough for everybody. The more we can help one another.
Yeah, I think we're losing you again, Julie. I'm sorry.
Your work and
Julia, okay, I'm gonna mute you for a second. We're losing you. Sorry about that. I did share on the chat, by the way. I did share 2 files. One is a picture, 2 images. One is the Category Concierge yard signs. You can, see a sample how it looks like. And the other one is the our Ford Media promo page, just with your contact information. I think you can also text this number. Ask for Megan. Right, Megan, she's the person who's overseeing the department, and then, get for quote and ask him what they do and flower services, etc. So, Julie, I'm sorry, we lost you for a second. So you were broken up towards the end. Rita, do you want to add more insight of based on what Julie's?
can you hear me now?
Yes, for now.
Okay, what's the question again?
Just like Julie said, coming from contribution, I think is great. And I think when you come from contribution, that's a lot of confidence that someone needs to get in front of clients and to be able to walk into someone's home and to be confident and say, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm here to get your house sold. What's your objective? I'm here to do it. So working as a team, let them know that they're working with someone they can trust. And thankfully, for me, it's been all past clients and referrals, really primarily for me, that my business is all about just connecting with clients and being in touch with people. That's really where I get my business from.
Right. Yeah. And Rita, how do you distinguish yourself from the competition? Like, do you do anything different, or you just go with your own brand or logo and it's, and that's good enough?
Well, I'd like to say I do something different, obviously, but I don't know. Maybe someone else is doing what I'm doing. For me, I like to set myself apart with the experience I have in staging and design. And that to me is coming into someone's home and being able to kind of guide them and lead them and have one person to do everything. Also negotiating, making sure that I have their best interest and that I'm, going to be the negotiator for them. Having their house look the best it can so I could get them the most amount of money with the, least amount of headaches. Just having all the right, knowing what to say and how to say it, just knowing all your scripts. And like when you're going to go to someone's home, be prepared. Just like Allison said, making sure you really know the neighborhood, the comps. The worst thing is when someone asks you a question and you don't know how to answer it. So just really being prepared and educated and loving what you do. That sets me apart. I don't know, maybe because I love what I do. I think everybody should love what they do. When you're meeting with people, let them know that that you have their best interest.
Yeah, well said. Let me see if we have any other questions over here. I didn't see any. Julie, anything else you want to add while you rush into your photo shoot?
It's hot. It's really, really hot out here. No, I just think you have to love what you're doing. You have to enjoy what you're doing. And, the bottom line, I think that what I've learned over all these years is it's about the relationships. It's about the relationships. You got to be there to serve the people, and the people have to be there to serve you. Some stuff takes a little bit longer. Some stuff comes a little bit quicker. You have to be patient with people. I have a really tough time cutting people loose because I want to help fix everything. But you just have to keep going. If your best friend lives with somebody else, just go to the next deal. Don't get hung up on it. The quicker you make the correction, the more successful you'll be going to the next person that really does need your help.
Yeah, well said. And I love the fact that both of you repeated a few times the word trust. So pretty much if you build a trust with your clients, right, in this specific case around those topics is sellers, they will trust what you're telling them because you're coming from a place of contribution and you are professional and you want to help and you also have the experience, right? And it doesn't mean that you have to have 20, 30 years of experience to help people, but you definitely want to make sure that you know what your value is and you can back it up, right? Always under promise and over deliver. And when you top it off with those tools and systems, and you can, whoever's in this session right now, you can clearly see that both Julie and Rita, they already have, they have the mojo going, they have the resources, and they have they're all, their game together. But it doesn't happen overnight. You just you build up into that, and you put the pieces together, and then you just keep it consistent, right?
Definitely. And I think that, be friends with your title rep. They're there to help you. So let's, utilize all of our resources, KW Command, title. There's so many places that we can really get a lot of information to give to our clients, just coming from value, because that's what you want to do. Just keep in touch, and sometimes it's just a simple hello, but sometimes it's also giving them information based on their home or whatever their objective is.
Yeah, well said, Rita. Anything, just last topic or kind of, final words to summarize, and final message, Rita, Julie?
Julie, I'll let you go.
I want a happy hour, Meny. We have to do some more networking. And I want to go on vacation to another country soon.
Like Mexico, Cabo, Cancun.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Meny. Hi, Devany.
Hi, Julie.
Yeah, well, we as all of you guys saw, or some of you saw, we had our soft relaunch, if you may, of team meetings today. It was the first live meeting in all of our offices. People actually came to the office, face masks, social distance, 6, 7 people in the office or whatever. And we are having this weekend kayaking in Long Beach, so you're definitely welcome to join that too. But I hear you, and thank you for that energy, by the way. You see, that this energy is what attracting also buyers and sellers, right? They need to trust you, but they need to know, to see that you have it going, and you're still up and running, and you're alive, and you're looking for the interaction. If you cannot do it in person, fine, do it over whatever virtual. But the world is real world, okay? And if you want to go virtual, it's okay. Just don't disappear completely, okay? You still need the office to have meetings and to come pick up your check and to do a lot of different things. So yeah, just a side statement over here. So Julie Newman, Rita Kanberian, can't thank you enough for being who you are and being amazing and for sharing. And thanks everybody. We had a great session today. Allison Van Wyk, Julie Newman, Rita Kanberian, and I will send your information, your emails to Allison Van Wyk for her follow-up as she asked and you guys wanted to do. And sure telling, well, we'll do. And that's it. With that, keep it safe, keep it busy, keep it healthy, and make sure to opt into our sessions and our meetings and what have you, and come to the office if you feel comfortable. Once again, stay busy, guys. It's busy market out there. So thanks everybody. Good job. Thank you, ladies, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.